So this all started with this picture on Reddit. The OP was surprised to learn that the Game Boy Color has a smaller screen than the DMG in the Pocket. Of course, most of us know this, but what was strange was the first comment. Someone said, "Wait until you see the light." It sounded like they were implying the screen on the light was like even smaller, which is weird. I've never heard anyone think that before. So I replied, the DMG, Pocket, and Lite all have the same size screen. They're all larger than the Game Boy Color. So all the Game Boys that came before it had a larger screen than the Game Boy Color. And this opened a floodgate of people telling me that I'm wrong and the Pocket screen is quote unquote noticeably larger than the DMG. I've heard this one lots of times. I've heard this one in my own comments on my own videos. A lot of people seem to think the Pocket screen is noticeably larger than the DMG. I replied with the idea that it's just an illusion because the DMG is so much bigger overall and it has bigger bezels, it makes the screen look smaller. But a lot of people are adamant that the Pocket screen is, again, noticeably larger than the DMG and that it wasn't just an illusion. So I got my DMG, Pocket, and Lite, all stock screens, got them all out side by side, lined them up, and lined them up in a way that their screens lined up. And I gotta say, it's pretty close, isn't it? I lined up my phone's camera as best as I could and took this picture. I loaded the picture into GIMP so that I could compare the size of the bezel cutout, like the screen protector's cutout, the screen cutout area. I know this isn't perfect. There's going to be some perspective issues here. There's going to be some lens distortions. A small cell phone camera this close to an item, it's going to have a lot of lens distortion. If I had a flatbed scanner, that would be ideal. It would eliminate any perspective issues. It would eliminate any lens distortion. Everything would be straight on. But unfortunately, I threw my scanner out when the printer that it was attached to died. So yeah, this is the best I could do. I tried to get it as straight on as I could. And we're also going to note that there's a little bit of a shadow being cast on the screen because the screen sits, a few millimeters below the screen protector. And so the bezel, we've got the light coming from above. The bezel's casting a shadow on the top of the screen or sometimes on the sides, trying to take that into account. Again, we're just looking at the cutout area. And I gotta say, I know this isn't perfect, but they look identical to me. So what do Nintendo's official specs say? Well, it turns out, according to Nintendo, the Pocket screen is actually 0.1 centimeters larger, both horizontally and vertically. 0.1 centimeters is 1 millimeter. And I believe this works out to about 1.15 millimeters diagonally. So the Pocket screen might actually be something like 1.1 to 1.2 millimeters larger diagonally. Very, very small difference, but there is possibly a difference here. So let's forget about the light for a second. The light's never really been in question. So let's get that out of there. And now we can, line up the Pocket and the DMG side by side. I put a game cartridge under the Pocket to try and lift it up to the same height level as the DMG, because obviously the DMG is thicker. I've also turned them both on and turned the contrast wheel up to make the actual visible area of the LCD panel seen. Now we can compare the actual image size and not just the cutout of the screen protector. Again, I know this isn't perfect, even side by side. We can't have both screens directly in the center of the lens at once. I also had to angle this so that the gap around the LCD, the visible LCD area and the bezel, was visible on all four sides of the screen on both units at the same time. And that, doesn't leave you with a lot of room for getting the right angle. Again, lens distortion at this distance is going to warp the image enough. And when we're talking about a screen size difference of literally a millimeter, under 2 millimeters, well under 2 millimeters here, 1.2 millimeters at the most, it's going to be tricky. And this isn't perfect, but I have to say, just looking at this side by side, They look really close, don't they? Anyways, let's check in GIMP again, and we can see that there is some perspective issues here. The bottom left of the pocket, the screen's kind of skewed out from perspective or lens distortion. I'm going to ignore that and just grab the other three corners here. And if we move that over to the DMG, yeah, I think it's safe to say the pocket screen is a tiny bit bigger than the DMG. If we can trust Nintendo's official specs here, then we might be seeing that extra, 1.1 to 1.2 millimeters here. But this is still my issue. Is the extra 1.1 to 1.2 millimeters really noticeable? When people say the pocket screen is noticeably larger, is that really what they're talking about? Or are most of these people being mostly fooled by the illusion? Just looking at this picture, I'm going to say they're basically the same. Am I wrong? Can you actually notice a real-world difference here? I think when people say the pocket screen is noticeably larger, they're mostly being fooled by the illusion. And looking back at that original picture, it's hard to argue that the pocket screen does look noticeably larger. The illusion is real. Even seeing both in person, the pocket screen does look bigger. But when you get them side by side and you line up the screens, is it really noticeably bigger? Again, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say these people are wrong. I mean, technically they're right. It's larger, but is it noticeably larger? I am genuinely curious what you guys think here. I think they're wrong, and I think they're basically the same, but I could be wrong. Maybe some of you, that extra 1.2 millimeters is noticeable. Your eyes are definitely better than mine, but hey, it's possible. So what do you guys think? Is the Game Boy Pocket screen basically the same size as the DMG? Are all these people that say it's noticeably larger wrong? Again, I think they are, but tell me what you think.